Hello. So let's have a look at the exam. That is how AA exam is going to look like, and I'm going to show it to you on the example of the mock that was issued for September 2024 session. We have A and B parts. Part A is going to be a test question part. There is going to be 30 marks in total. You are going to have 5 objective test questions. So let us have a look at the scenario. The scenario is going to look like that. You can read it. You can make some marks in here like that, but they will not be transferred to the next question. So all the marks that you are going to make are going to stay in the first screen. So you are going to have 6 scenarios. Each of these scenarios is going to relate to 5 test questions. Some of the questions will be just one option like that. Some of the questions will be true or false. You will have to click like that. I'm not reading, I'm just clicking, just in case. And some of the questions are going to be a little bit different. So let us have a look. Again, true or false. And again, just multiple choice. And sometimes we have multiple select. Just 1 second. Oh yes, found it. So in here we can select several options. If you are going to need to review your answer later, you can click on Navigator and put a flag next to the number of the question that you are doubting. These flags will not be seen by a reviewer. And actually, even if they were seen, the reviewer would not care. But no, they do not have this functionality. And this is just for you so that later you would get back to the question and you would see where you had doubts and you would look at that again. Everything gets saved automatically, so no worries. And this is part A. In section B, so in part A, we have 3 questions, 3 scenarios, 5 marks each, so there is going to be 30 marks in total. In part B, we are going to have a few more questions. So in section B, we are going to have questions like that. We are going to have one scenario that is going to be for 30 marks. And we are going to have 2 scenarios that are going to be for 20 marks. So 30 plus 20 plus 20, you get 70 marks. As you can see, the majority of the marks are for the text-based questions where you have to write. Some of the questions are going to relate to just theory. So quite often you are told, oh, do not pay attention to the scenario, just tell me the theory. Some of the questions are going to rely on scenario. So for example, you will have to look at the scenario and try to identify control issues. I personally like to start with a question that relates to the scenario, which is more voluminous. So for example, if I would see a question that is not related to the scenario or is just for 5 marks, I would go next and I would start with the question which is for 10, 16 marks. Because when I read the scenario, I like to highlight whatever is important, like that. And it's better to use these highlights for a question that is 10, 16 marks worth, rather than to a question that is just 5 marks, like in here. If you have a table, you can resize it. That's easy. Just resize it like you always do, like that. So no rocket science in here, it will be just easier for you to write your answer. If you have something that you need to know that will be used later in some other questions, like in here, you can use scratchpad. Whatever is used in scratchpad is going to be transferred to the next scenarios. So you are going to say, oh, glad company, well, let's say going concern issue. I haven't read the question, maybe there is, maybe there isn't, I'm just showing to you the example. So like that, next, and as you will see, the highlights are not there, but the scratchpad is there intact. So the scratchpad is needed to transfer everything that you need for the rest of the questions to the rest of the questions. Now you do have calculator. You might use it if you need to calculate materiality. Not much for this exam though. And you do have help, but this help is just how to use the platform. Not anything related to the exam. So obviously they are not going to list procedures here or anything like that. So when we're talking about part B, you are going to have a single scenario that is going to relate to several questions. It is impossible to say to how many questions it's going to be related because quite often they are broken down in 3 questions, sometimes in 4, sometimes in 2. But in total, we are going to have 3 scenarios. If you have an error like that, it means that you need to scroll down, and this means that you need to scroll down all of these bars. And now you can go to another question like this, for example. Part B is going to be, most likely the part B is going to be based around controls, so test of controls, about audit evidence, audit risks. There can be other topics from the whole of the syllabus, but test of controls, audit risk, audit evidence and procedures, the audit procedures, is something that is tested most often. So I hope that this video was educational, that now you know how your exam is going to look like, and I will see you next. Bye!